and welcome to InnoVerge's STEM and X.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for coming to the InnoVerge Fireside. And this is our second episode, and we have Amanda Loh with us today. She's a dancer and an engineer, and we're so excited to be here with her today. And just as a reminder, be sure to check out our last Fireside with Angelique. It's on our YouTube channel, and we'll send you guys a link later. But as a brief introduction, we have some slides about InnoVerge. And so we are a global youth nonprofit wanting to diversify the next generation of changemakers through interdisciplinary STEMX education. And so far, we've held over 250 free events, workshops, and programs worldwide, which is pretty cool. And our goal is to have interdisciplinary STEMX curriculum, and we focus on social good. And so far, we have our three pillars, which is our virtual programming, community education, and our incubator Fireside. And this focuses a little bit on our monthly Fireside Chat, such as this one, where we have Amanda right here, where we showcase some really cool STEMX influencers, and we talk a little bit about their journey, so we could tell like other young girls or young boys that there are people for you to look up to in the STEM field, and there are people that represent you. And then we have some educational pillars as well. And that's more on the curriculum side. So that's more of our workshops and a remote learning program. And lastly, we have our incubator mentorship. And so if you do want to sign up or look at any of these programs, go and check out innoverge.org, and you could learn more about these programs. So far we have impacted over 7,700 students, and we have 60 different locations where we have regional directors in 14 different countries. We are a 501c3 fiscally sponsored organization, and we are supported by a couple of organizations, including Disney, the Hershey Company, We, and Youth Service America. And so just get involved. And so there are a couple of ways for you to get involved. That includes mentorship opportunities, the newsletter, and regional directors. And so Amanda, do you want to take it away from here?
Absolutely, I can. So hi everybody, as Ariana mentioned, I'm Amanda, and I'm gonna share my story. I started in dance and I made my way into tech, and I'm now a software engineer. So I'll go ahead and share my screen, and I can kind of show you, kind of my journey and what I have been through. Let me share here, and then I'm gonna go here to my slides. So yeah, so the way that I kind of brand myself, let me move this over a little bit, is that I am a dancer in tech, Amanda the dancer in tech. And kind of my overall goal now is to try to combine my past in dance and unify that with my journey in tech now. So these are my social handles. Feel free to check them out. But yeah, I'll tell you a little bit of how I got to where I was with software engineering. So this is me in the left-hand corner. I started dancing when I was 3 years old. So I pretty much knew from the beginning that I was going to be a dancer. I'd always been in the arts. I didn't come from a traditional background where I grew up like building Legos or anything. I was an artist. I painted. I, never took math classes. I basically avoided all of that, and I just did art. I'm constantly just doing that. I always kind of knew I wanted to be a professional ballet dancer from young. So these are some of the various performances I've been in. I've been in the Nutcracker. You might know that one. It's a Christmas one. I've been in Swan Lake. I've been in a lot of contemporary works as well. So I spent most of my life actually training to be that. And I did this for a very long time. And then I ultimately got injured at some point. And that's really when I started picking up new things. I took a class in Python, which you guys probably know is a coding language. And at first I thought this was about snakes. I had no idea what this class was about. But just picked it out of random and really enjoyed it. I think one of our assignments was like creating our own love poems using like a, template from Python. And that was really cool. And it was just amazing how much power you have to create through that. And it was just so easy to build things, and at scale too. You could like send out like 60 poems at once. It was kind of amazing to me, like the power that technology has. So I ultimately was supposed to stay at Pacific Northwest Ballet, which is where I was dancing, for another year, but I ultimately decided to quit. And I went to the University of Washington to pursue electrical engineering initially. So I'll move to the next slide here. So this kind of like details a little bit of my journey through engineering. And let me just kind of, show you a video of kind of like my experience. Let me know, Ariane, if the audio doesn't come through on this one.
I started dancing when I was 3 years old, and the thing that really was a turning point in my life is I got injured right before I was about to perform a principal role with Pacific Northwest Ballet. I spent a lot of days bedridden at that time, and I watched a lot of YouTube videos on robotics. I think that's where it started, wanting to help specifically dancers, but that has progressed to a much higher level. I want to use robotics to help people in many different ways.
So yeah, that's kind of like a summary of, kind of my journey and why I decided to do what I did. I went to school, and this is a cute little thing I'll link for you guys if you ever want to watch the whole thing. But we had this robot named Fetch, and I programmed on him, and this was our final project where we got to have him, deliver food. And it really combined like art and technology together, because I could make these really cool things and have a creative mind about it, but also use technology to build out everything as well. So it was a nice combination of those two things together. So going back to my slides here, let's present that again. So my journey is that I went to school. I got a degree in both electrical engineering and computer science. I started with electrical because I didn't know what computer science was actually. So I thought that was the best way to get into robotics because, as I mentioned in the video, that kind of was my passion, which got me into it, was the ability that robotics had to amplify humans. And I think I was really resonating with this because I had gotten injured in dance, and I thought it would be really cool to use robotics as a technology to help amplify humans. Maybe they're injured, maybe they need extra help. So that was my inspiration. So I started my journey. My first internship, I was extremely lucky. I got to work at Tesla. So over here on the left is Tesla in 2014. And it was an amazing time where I got a lot of opportunity. I built a lot of the battery calibration systems underneath the car. So my system, basically every battery that goes into a Tesla has to go through the system and gets measured to exactly a certain voltage. So that was really cool to have such a high impact there as an intern. I returned the next summer to work on the Falcon wing doors of the Model X. You guys are probably familiar with that car. So that was really exciting to be part of a release like that. So those kind of were my two internships that I had. This was my sophomore and my junior year of college. And then my last year in college, I took 5 years because I had a double degree, was to work on exoskeletons, which was like ultimately kind of the dream I had, to work on that concept of like amplifying humans through robotics. So they were working on basically having exoskeletons like this, as you see in the middle, and paraplegics can actually learn how to walk. And it's for people who have the potential to learn how to walk again after being paralyzed. So that was a really awesome, rewarding internship experience. But I loved cars way too much. So for my full-time offer, I joined NIO, which is the picture on the right. I'm with this cute little Chinese pig because it's a Chinese-based company that works on electric vehicles. And I took a role in the autonomous driving division. So I was working on a lot of really cool projects there, working on computer vision and detecting pedestrians and objects that you would see normally on the side of the road. So that was also a very rewarding experience. And then after NIO, I decided to go into a more traditional software role. So actually right now I'm currently working at Microsoft. And I work in the Internet of Things division. And what we do is we work on all sorts of different problems. We work on indoor mapping for malls. We work on agriculture systems for agriculture. We even work for coffee companies. When exactly you order a coffee, exactly the routing of exactly how long it will take them to make it based on your navigation path to the store. So I just loved how there's just a variety of different problems there. And I definitely say I broaden my horizons from just doing robotics too. a lot more things. And I think I really attributed that to just learning more. And even starting at the beginning, I didn't know what computer science was. But once I learned what it was, it really opened the door to like so many different applications other than robotics that I didn't really know about at all when I started. So yeah, so that's a little bit about the journey here, like from school to graduation in the engineering side. And this is kind of what I do now. So I am an influencer. My goal is to combine tech and dance together. So what I do is I showcase to people what dance is from the engineering side. This is dance. And then the same for engineering, for dancers saying this is engineering. And so they're two worlds kind of introducing each other to one another. So that they can learn things from both sides. So you'll see here, I have a variety of different combination of things here. I've got here on the left, the very traditional ballet type of pictures you would see. And engineers learn a little bit more on my page about what dance is and what ballet is and that sort of thing. And in the middle, you've got the fusion here. I try to combine, having a computer with the dance together. And then on the left, I kind of have some like sci-fi references and stuff that will relate to like software engineers, like Star Wars. And like here, this was in a quantum physics lab on the right, getting to go to University of Washington and learning a little bit more about nanoparticles. That was really fun. And learning to educate my followers there and teaching them a bit more about what the lab does. So yeah, so that's kind of a summary of, my journey from dancer, engineer, and then now I do a lot of content that is the combination of the two. Yeah, I mean, I have takeaways for aspiring engineers, but I just wondered first, did you have any questions for me, Ariana, you wanted to go over first?
Yeah, if you want, you could go ahead. I have a few rapid fire questions in
Sure.
between, as well as some other questions. But first of all, I just wanted to say, like, that's incredible. I used to do dance, but I wasn't like I didn't progress as far as you did. I think it's just like my parents were tired of me running around in the house, and they were like, "You have to put this girl in something." But that's crazy. I was like listening to all the internships that you did. Is the bottom right picture like? For some reason, I keep thinking of like Goku or something, but I'm not sure if that's true.
Yeah. Apply to whatever sci-fi or anime
Yeah.
or whatever you resonate with. But yeah, I think that was kind of the vibe, just something very dramatic.
That's so cool. Oh my gosh. But
Yeah.
it was so cool. Okay, I have a few rapid fire questions for you. And so, what is your favorite Christmas song? I'm very into Christmas, and so I have a lot of Christmas themed questions for you.
Awesome. I love that. I say every time like after like Thanksgiving is over,
Mhm.
definitely like the Michael Bublé
Yes, of
album is like
course.
the classic one for me. To be honest, like that's the
Yeah.
first thing I put on and just everything in that album, like
Yes, for sure.
yeah.
I think
So I
that's
don't have a favorite, but yeah, that's the one I put on default.
Yeah, that's what my family always puts on as well. So that's amazing taste. And
Yeah.
then in light of Thanksgiving, I have to ask you apple pie or pecan pie. I know this may be a difficult question, but you have to pick one.
I think this was easy for me because my family's never made pecan pie
Oh,
for
good.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Actually, my mom only made pumpkin and apple this year. So I had to go with
Oh,
apple then.
yeah.
Yeah, hers was pretty
Oh.
good this year.
Then
Yeah.
how about let's tweak that a little bit since you've also had pumpkin pie. Would you rather have apple pie or pumpkin pie?
Yeah, that's a hard one. Actually, the way I would go is for some reason I really like cold pumpkin pie.
Oh, yeah, for
So
sure.
like if the pumpkin pie was hot, but the apple pie was hot as well, I'd
Yeah.
have to go with the hot apple pie. But
Mm.
if there's a cold pumpkin pie, I have to go for that. So it depends also on the temperature.
Oh, that sounds so good. I'm always like apple pie with a scoop of ice cream. And
Ooh,
that's
that's
always
really good. Yeah, the combination of like cold and hot too.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so in light of the Black Friday shopping, I don't know if you went crazy for Cyber Monday, but
Mhm.
if you got $25 to spend, what would you spend it on?
Ooh, that is a tough one. To be honest, what I went for first, like honestly for Black Friday was
Yeah.
a couple of my dance studios had deals for like
Oh
Black
my
Friday, like
gosh.
get 40% off the classes. So that was my go-to like first thing was getting discount
Yeah.
my dance classes.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Because dance is so important to me that yeah, I would go
Yeah.
for that first. But definitely the second would be like Christmas is big in my family.
Yeah.
So we like buy a lot of presents. I have like 6 aunts and like 20 cousins.
Oh, wow.
Definitely going for the presents next.
Yeah, for sure. And then next, would you rather wear jeans, skirts, or leggings?
Wow. I think because of how I am, I'm like a performer, and I've just always, I think I always love wearing like long flowy skirts. Like that's just
Oh,
my
got
thing.
it.
Or just like flowy things in general.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so that's what I would go for.
Yeah. I think that's actually, I have a friend that has like done dance throughout all of her life, and she's the same exact way. Like she always wears just flowy skirts. So that's so cool.
Yeah, actually, like a fun fact, I haven't worn a pair of jeans in over 10 years.
Are you
I don't like jeans
serious?
because they're very like constricting. I like very loose,
True.
flowy. That's kind of my general style.
Yeah. I think like I'm walking around campus and everyone's wearing those, I think like mom jeans are in style now or dad jeans. Honestly, like I
Yeah.
have to read up on the jeans because I don't know the difference between mom, dad, and boyfriend jeans.
Yeah,
And
I don't know either.
yeah, but I'm like, okay, I'll just put away my like tight jeans because no one wears that anymore. But okay, so for the next question, what's your favorite type of potato? It's like mashed, curly fries, roasted. What's your favorite type?
To be honest, I really like mashed potatoes. I think it's like the texture.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that's like one of the things when I started to learn how to cook in college, like that was what
Oh,
I first perfected, like, the homemade
yeah.
potato.
Oh, cool.
So I can make them pretty well from scratch. So
Oh my God, you have to share the recipe.
absolutely.
And then last, what's the first store that you go to on Black Friday? Maybe not like in terms of maybe not like since you talked a little about dance studio, maybe if you like walked into a mall and then if you maybe ignore like the stampeding of people because I know
Yeah.
that's pretty big right now. But if you just like what it was empty and you got to pick a store in a mall, what would you go to first?
Absolutely. So what's interesting is I'm not super materialistic, so I don't normally buy things. I'm kind of an experience girl, but
Oh,
we did pass through Oregon this year because I was dancing in LA for 3 months, and we
yeah.
were back for the holidays to Seattle. And we passed through Oregon, and Oregon's amazing because it has no tax. And so we did go to outlet store.
Oh my
And,
God.
the first store I went to there actually was Kate Spade because I actually really like
Oh yeah.
stuff because it's very unique. They
Yeah,
have a lot
for
of
sure.
signature bags. Like there, they had like a polar bear bag, which was really cute and
Oh
very.
my gosh, that's so cute.
So I just really appreciated and enjoyed
Mhm.
bags there. They were really nice, and yeah, like the discounts were insane. I think I got like 85% off the bag that I purchased.
No way. Oh my
But yeah, that was the first store I would go to because like every time I walk into that store, it's like a new, just have new stuff all the time.
yeah. Oh my gosh, I have to check out Kate Spade now. I'm
Yeah,
like lacking.
absolutely.
I
Dude,
don't
it's
remember doing.
Cyber Monday. They probably still have sales.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, that's all the rapid fire questions I have for you. I would love to hear the advice you have. I am currently in college and I need a lot of advice right now. So if
Sounds
you have
good.
any tips.
Yeah, for sure. I'll go to the slide I have
Yeah, for
actually
sure.
about like the takeaways and for aspiring engineers and stuff. I think like the first one is being okay to be different and not fitting into a stereotype. I definitely felt like when I was in college, I was surrounded by a lot of men all the time.
For sure.
I think there was just definitely a certain stereotype to like not dress up, dress down, kind of like be a tough person and kind of blend in. But I think as I've worked in industry and kind of seen what there is to see, I guess I've learned kind of like fitting in is not really going to do you any good. And the more you even do it, I mean, problems are going to persist. There's still sexism in the industry. It doesn't really change much. You try
Yeah.
to fit in to be something else. So I think it's always better to just kind of be yourself, whoever that is, whether you're more girly or not girly, and just own that and be confident. Because in the end, people will see that, and also like younger engineers will look up to you as you just kind of portray who you are as a person.
Yeah.
And I think that's super important. I think the second thing too, going with this is like combining passions you can have can be a strength, because a lot of times I thought, oh, I'm from like an arts background, this is going to be very bad for me, I don't know any like math or anything. But I always tell people coming from different backgrounds, I know that some people don't traditionally just become engineers, right? They came from some other major, right? Like writing or art or literature, or, you know, something totally different, that it can actually help you because you have a different perspective. And a lot of like engineering is just thinking out of the box. So
Yeah.
I always tell people you can use your creativity, and like, honestly, at the end of the day, you're solving problems.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
yeah, so that goes with the third point. Being technical is valuable, but don't underestimate being creative. The fourth is like really like appreciate and like, you know, kind of acknowledge the people around you that are supporting you in college, and your friends and the people, your teammates. Because to be honest, those people have become like my friends for life, to be honest. Like I remember studying with two of my friends from college, and they've really become my friends for life. And some of them work at Facebook now, and because I'm in social media, we have, you know, still bonded, and they tell me a lot about how the social media market is changing. You know, Facebook and Instagram as social media platforms have evolved quite a bit, right?
Yeah.
So having these friends from college that we studied together, slaved away on all our midterms, you know, in the end, we continued to be friends, and they've helped me out so much with like the social media stuff, and a lot of it I probably couldn't have done without them.
Yeah.
So I'd say, yeah, definitely lean in for your peers for support, because they could be there for you for life, you know.
For sure.
I think the fifth thing is that in school, I think it's really easy to get burned out and to be like, I'm going to take all the hard classes and I'm going to like get A's in everything. But I think if I could go back and like tell myself something like in college, it would be to like have more fun. And definitely when you have capstones or you have projects, like really choose applications that excite you and motivate you, because it'll just make school so fun. And you're just going to want to get in the lab in school and, you know, do your project, and you'll have something really cool to like look back on. And I think that's really important. The other thing is, just speaking as a woman or underrepresented minority, there will be struggles in the engineering and tech space. I like to say it's not really something you can ignore. They're going to be there, but you have to like persevere through them. And sometimes it can be very, very subtle, right? It can be someone just commenting on your hair every day or something really subtle. Like I think a lot of people think it's like straight out, someone's going to come up to you and be like, you're a woman, you can't do anything. Like no one's going to do that to you. But it can be subtle. And so just kind of acknowledging that. And even if something feels a little bit off, it's probably a subtle, you know, racist or sexist thing going on.
Yeah.
So always being aware of that, and definitely talking to your peers about it and talking to other women in your community. And I know at Microsoft we have threads on this, and I really appreciate that because women just like speak up and they say, hey, I had this situation in a meeting, like, do you think this was weird? And everybody backing up that woman, it's like so awesome to see, which is great. So definitely I think that's important, like in college too. I don't know if that happens. It didn't happen to me, but you know,
Yeah.
I recommend that, to have a community there as well. And then my last point is about, I'm very passionate about women when they come out of college, and also underrepresented minorities too, or people who don't speak up as much, to definitely negotiate when you have your first job offer, whether it's after grad school or you get a job like right out of college. Negotiating is not negotiating until someone says no. So I think a lot of times people say, oh, I negotiated for X, but I always say, go big or go home, and wait till someone says no, and then you can work with that number. Because if you never ask for something bigger, there's no potential of you getting that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've definitely talked to a lot of women about how to negotiate when they get their first offer and how they can do it in a very graceful manner, right? You don't have to do it in an aggressive way, but there's a certain way you can, you know, work to optimize your offer. So yeah, those are kind of in a nutshell, kind of the things I wish I'd tell myself if I was back in college again.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you. That was like, especially since I'm just like starting college, that's like definitely something I'll keep in mind. I'm sure like a lot of viewers are going to keep that in mind. I'm going to admit, I wanna real quickly.
So, sounds good.
And Ilana is actually like a senior in high school. So this is just like a really quick question, or if you like remember anything specifically from high school. I think they're like going through college app season
Yeah.
right now, so it's kind of stressful. But do you have any advice for that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think in college, like, I mean, going from high school to college, I think like there's a lot of pressure on high school students, especially because a lot of programs have like direct admit into like computer science or into whatever major you want to be in, right? Civil, whatnot, is to like not have so much like pressure on yourself to like make that decision. Because to be honest, I didn't even know what computer science was until like my junior year of college.
Oh, yeah.
So I feel like a lot of people put pressure on themselves their freshman year, like, oh my God, I have to figure this out. But like, it's really okay. Like a lot of people don't know. And also a lot of people graduate with one degree, right? Like I have a friend that did information technology. I have another friend that did electrical, and I have another friend that did human-centered design and engineering. So those are three different majors, right? But they all ended up in the same place.
Oh,
They
got it.
all ended up at Facebook
Oh,
doing almost the same role.
oh,
So
really?
like, I feel like, yeah, a lot of people put pressure on themselves, like, oh my God, I have to do this one degree
Yeah.
to get to this end goal. But like, there's a lot of ways to get to the same end goal.
Oh, got it. Thanks. That's
Yeah,
like,
I always tell people that just like go and explore, because like college is that time, like
yeah, for
it's like giving you the permission to figure things out, and it's okay.
yeah. No, for
Yeah.
sure. That's like a lot to hear. I know there's so many people around me that are just like, I don't know what to do. And because we have to come in, we have to declare a major. It's kind of just like we're all over the place and you feel like you have to take all the classes. But it's so like good hearing it from someone who is able to understand from like a more experienced perspective. So that's very,
Yeah,
really good to hear.
absolutely.
Yeah. And so a little bit off from the topic of college and high school, but you did talk a little bit about like racism and sexism in the industry. And so I wanted to ask you how this has come up in like social media and how it has impacted you. And if there's anyone that's like, oh, like you can't be a dancer and an engineer, and they specifically like say that in social media, and how that sort of has affected you and how you deal with that.
Absolutely, yeah. I think no one has ever come out directly to me and said like, this is stupid, you shouldn't be doing
Yeah.
which I'm very grateful for. I feel like the community that I have built especially has
Yeah.
been a good one, right? Where everyone is very supportive.
Mhm.
I think when it gets really subtle is the type of content I decide to do, or like how it evolves. Because I'm not just one person. I think a lot of people have a stereotype of how someone is. And when that changes, people get a little like, what are you? I don't know.
Yeah.
And then they end up like unfollowing you or ignoring what you do.
No.
But for me, I think what was difficult is I identified, I guess, online as people assumed me to be like a ballerina. So that's kind of the content that they expected. Oh, ballerina with technology together.
Mhm.
But for me, what I was trying to explore, kind of get out of the box with, is I enjoyed hip hop as well. And I enjoyed this new genre called heels, which,
Mm.
to be honest, is very empowering, especially for women. It's like a
Mhm.
safe space to be, confident, sexy. I feel like sexy has taken on a new word for me. Like, I think initially I was very quiet and shy.
Mhm.
So I felt like sexy was this word that's very dangerous, and it means that you're out of control and
Oh,
that
for
you
sure.
don't have any morals for yourself. But I think as I've explored more of that like heels genre world, like that's not ballet, I have learned that it's more than it looks on the surface. And realizing that like learning heels is really difficult. I also like dabbled a little bit in pole dancing as well,
Oh, that's
and had this perception of pole dancing. Oh, it must be a bunch of girls who are at strip clubs, but
yeah.
realizing that the girls that go to pole class or know how to do pole, they have strong cores. They actually have to learn a lot about, gravity and how it works, because
Yeah,
they
for
do
sure.
all of these tricks where they're upside down. So I have to really understand kind of like where their center of gravity is. And a lot of things are backed by physics, and they don't wear clothes because it's just that general principle of friction. If you wear clothes, you just slide down the pole and you would
Yeah.
right? So understanding and learning these things from them, realizing, wow, these girls are actually really smart. They understand physics and all of these things that maybe traditionally they didn't go to college, or they,
Yeah.
didn't get a degree in engineering, but they also have this like smartness that I had not foreseen. So kind of through like exploring all these genres of dance, I kind of understand there's more depth to it than you think. And so as I got introduced to those and I started like filming videos with those, yeah, I did experience some pushback where people are like, why are you doing pole now? Or why are you doing heels now?
Yeah.
But kind of just ignoring people that are kind of doubtful about those things, and trying to at least teach and, introduce the people who are open-minded that there's more to these dance types than people think.
For sure. Along with that, like how can women or really anyone sort of discover and find ways to explore like heels or pole dancing? Um, like how can they find these resources to explore these different genres of dance and empower themselves?
Absolutely. So because we've been in a pandemic,
Yeah.
the way that I really started, to be honest, was on the internet. I did a lot of searching, so it's through
Yeah.
like social media. So I started there with kind of bigger stuff in Los Angeles because that's what they have on YouTube. Like if you ever like just Google like heels classes or dances, is
Yeah.
probably what's going to pop up. So I started by just kind of copying what I saw
Mhm.
in these videos, and that kind of was my introduction to the whole thing, like learning things that made me feel happy and I enjoyed watching.
Yeah.
And I'd watch it on, it's kind of funny, on YouTube there's like a slow-mo feature. I don't know if you know this, but you can slow
Yes.
down a YouTube video.
Yeah.
So that's actually what I did. I would mirror it. So I would go into some, you can go into any website, just Google like
Yeah.
mirror video. I would mirror it so I could like try to do it exactly like
Mhm.
them and then slow it down. And that was really like before I knew there were classes or anything like that that taught this sort of stuff. And then from there, I progressed to basically like looking around in my community. So I live in Seattle, and I just kind of Googled like, classes in Seattle, what was open. And at the time, it was only Zoom back in the pandemic. So I started with Zoom and creating this community from just being on Zoom. And then as we kind of came, more back to normal, I started going to the studio. And for me, it was like really far away. Hopefully people can find things more close to their house, but for me, it was like 45 minutes away in traffic.
Yeah.
Um, but that's kind of the price I paid for trying to build and create that community. And I think what's powerful is you don't even have to go anywhere
Mhm.
to get feedback and to have community. I mean, Instagram was kind of the first time I really did all of this stuff. People would do online tutorials, which a lot of them still do, or do Zoom classes. And you just submit the video or you post it on your story or something, and people can watch it, and like professional dance teachers will see it and give you feedback.
Oh,
And that's how I got connected to a lot of teachers in LA. They would give me feedback on stuff, and I would do that.
oh,
Um,
that's so cool.
and that would be really cool to have that. And it's not only just dance people, but I got connected with like engineering discipline people
Mhm.
as well. I would post something cool about like, I did like a motion capture thing where I basically cloned myself in this
Oh,
editor, and then I was dancing with a clone of myself. And then this motion capture person that was working on stuff like that, and also was an engineer at Bird, which is a scooter
mhm.
company, was like, hey, why don't we work together and we can build some like motion capture stuff, and we can work on motion detection together and some machine learning algorithms. So
Yeah,
we partnered together and made some really cool videos too.
that's so
So
cool. Oh my,
yeah, so it's like both dance like instruction as well as like
yeah, that's
getting to work on these
amazing.
cool videos.
Oh my gosh. But
Yeah.
like funny story, I found out the mirror feature because when I was in like seventh grade, I was really into K-pop and I wanted to learn all the dances. So that's actually how I would learn the dances, from the mirror feature and slow down as well.
It's so
So
cool. Yeah, it's very useful.
yeah. And so in kind of the realm of like dance and engineering again, how do people in like the arts kind of combine their uh, interests in engineering and STEM and the arts? If it's sort of like in projects, how did you find a way to combine it in like
Yeah,
college or in work?
absolutely. Yeah. I think for most people, what's interesting is people don't really know that like I feel like people that were in an arts background, like ballet or some other arts field, like actually going into like engineering or like being a doctor or a lawyer, or those really high powered, like kind of, career paths,
Yeah.
is actually more common than people think,
Yeah.
because with dance, it's very disciplined, right? You go and practice every day. And
Yeah.
there's so many intricacies you have to learn about your body, and it's a lot about gravity and weight and a lot of physics, right? So it is kind of natural that actually that you would go in that direction to do engineering, because it's a lot of the same, which people don't really think. They're like, oh, there's creativity and there's logic and they're separate. Um, they're not really. And so I think they really do go hand in hand a lot of times. I know that when I first did electrical engineering, like one of the first projects I did my sophomore year was some embedded systems board. So it's always you have some kind of microcontroller board that has some kind of functions, and they ask you to do a project at the end to kind of like build a board to do some sort of function.
Yeah.
So for me, my crazy idea is I wanted to build Dance Dance Revolution. I don't know if
Oh
you know what
my
that is, but it's,
gosh.
the arrows come down and you
Yeah,
try to hit the arrow at the right time.
that's amazing.
Yeah, so we built a finger version of it because we had a microcontroller board that was like this big, right? So
Yeah.
we could have a little like a touchpad next to it, so you could just have like a little finger dance. But yeah,
Oh,
uh,
that's so cool.
that was like one of the first times I tried to like integrate those two together.
Oh my gosh. I would love to have that right now. That's so cool.
Yeah. And then one person that really inspires me is her Instagram handles physics on point. It's all one word. And she does dances with her robot. So she's a roboticist in Germany, and
Yeah.
she dances with her robot, and she choreographs her own dances with him, and it's just super cool.
That's so
So I've
cute.
seen things like that too, which are pretty cool.
It's amazing. Cool.
Yeah.
As a final last question, a little bit back on the college route and everything, but you did mention a little bit about like your internships, and I know as someone who like always hears about internships and how to find them and research, I was wondering what advice you would give to students on how they could find their internships or how they could get experience in STEM.
Absolutely. I would say, like, for me, internship wise, I would say don't underestimate yourself. I feel like a lot of people, they have a lot of pressure because there's like the higher tier internships and there's the lower tier ones, but I feel like for everyone to have the confidence to try everything, try applying everywhere. A lot of people say, oh, it's, an application black box. If I apply online, no one is going to ever see it. Um,
Mm,
which is what I totally thought what would happen with Tesla, but that was not the case. I mean, they
yeah.
ended up reaching out to me. And with that, like, something that will help them reach out to you is really set yourself apart.
Mhm.
And a lot of people are like, how can you do that if you have no experience, right? And for a lot of like newer students, even in high school going to college, they're like, how do I get this experience if I have no experience?
Yeah.
Um, and I say to people, like, you can build an experience from literally nothing. You could start tomorrow. If you want to build a robot tomorrow, you totally can, right? You can just go on YouTube and do it. I would just motivate people to, even if you're in high school and you're going for college, something that will set you apart is like do a project that's super cool. Build a YouTube video about it and then submit it as part of your college application if you can.
Mhm.
And that will really set you apart, because they'll be like, wow, this girl, she like made her own, project from scratch. That's incredible.
Later on Dance Revolution.
Yeah. Yeah. And just, like, let it be something that really shows your personality, whatever it is that you enjoy doing, outside of engineering. It would be a cool combination of both.
Yeah, that's so cool. Thank you so much for talking with us.
Yeah,
Really
absolutely. I
nice.
think I only had one, yeah, I only had one slide left, but yeah.
It's amazing. Oh my gosh, that's actually perfect because I was about to be like, do you have any resources where we could find you? But thank you so much again. And then everyone has to follow Amanda because she's amazing and she has the best advice for us. Thank you so much again. And then you can find Innoverge and find us at innoverge.org or on Instagram at Innoverge, INTL. It's short for international, but thank you guys for listening and thank you again, Amanda. Bye.
Yeah, thank you.